Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah ta'ala wa barakatuhu. You're watching Safir TV on Sky 847. This is ItTakes2 and I'm Bilal Ali Hugh. I'm joined by my co-host Ruby Sowa. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, how are you?
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And I'm also joined by Sheikh Mohammed with us.
Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Good. So this is a program where we explore the challenges that naturally occur in marriage and we try to help you come up with solutions and ways of going forward in more amicable and loving relationships. Let's jump into our first scenario if we can. So today the first scenario reads, Dear ItTakes2, I hate being married to my husband. His mannerism towards me is very rough and I'm confused as to whether I should speak out and make him aware of the pain he is causing me. To be honest, I have never been in a relationship before, so I have no idea what to expect and what's normal. I'm struggling to figure out what he wants from me. I've even started noticing that he calls certain numbers which make our phone bill expensive. I called one of the numbers and it turned out to be a party line, but I wouldn't dare say something to him. I feel a bit ridiculous to say this, but I fear him being with someone else. I don't know how to make sense of things. What should I do? It's from an anonymous sister in London. Wow. Sister Ruby, help me out.
Give it to the Sheikh.
Help me out. The party line, the suspicion.
You can start
the sister's inexperience, her pain. He's demeaning her. He's speaking to her in a pejorative manner. What?
The number of cases like this.
Not what's going on. What does she make happen? What does she make?
I think
change?
what the impression I get, and as I said, the letter doesn't go on for a long time to give us an insight into the personality. But she said, I don't have a lot of experience. I've never been in a relationship before. I don't have any experience in this. She doesn't have a reference. Mm-hmm. I think she's very new, very fresh in terms of she's doing the best she can, but maybe her best isn't what her husband is expecting. For example, she may think that she's cooking 3 meals a day, making the most extravagant meals, making sure the clothes are washed or whatever, the home is tidy. But really what he's looking for is something else. But he hasn't communicated that. So to her, she may be going on experiences of other people around her and what she thinks a wife should be, for example.
Yeah.
So this is very shocking to her because he's not reciprocating. She's trying. And the party line thing, it's just a shock to her. So what he's basically doing, he's emotionally investing his time with a stranger, somebody over the phone. Mm-hmm. And that
all sounds unsavory.
It is, and she's probably feeling her confidence has been shattered. Mm-hmm. Where does she go? Where do you go with this type? You don't want to, air out your dirty laundry, so to speak, but what do you do? And he's not responding, and she's feeling, her status has been shaken, and she doesn't know what to do. As with anything, talk. You should never be afraid of speaking to your spouse. You've got nothing to lose. You've made a lifelong, inshallah, commitment. There are things that are going to come up in everybody's life, and you're not a child to be reprimanded. Talk, express yourself, say, look, I don't understand. Is there something, not to make yourself look weak, because a lot of the time I can hear women screaming at me saying, why should we be the ones who always, have to swallow our pride and stuff? It's not because you have to. You've taken a venture to be in a marriage, so it's going to do you a lot of good to make sure your environment is okay. Mm-hmm. So there's no shame in asking someone, is there anything wrong? What do you think? And opening up a dialogue. And I don't think when it comes to love and marriage, I don't think there should be any type of pride, really.
This is really sad because, to the point where the husband's rude and speaks to her in a certain manner, she hasn't been in a relationship. She's actually like, is this normal?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. She doesn't have experience of a previous relationship, whatever, but most of us didn't. Mm-hmm. When we got married, we weren't in a previous relationship or marital relationship before that, perhaps. Mm-hmm. So she should know that is not normal. that should not be accepted as, person behaving to her in that way. That's not how a normal marital relationship works.
In fact, any relationship,
or any relationship,
just a friendship, as Muslims, as human beings, we
absolutely. But even more so in a marital relationship, when the person you're supposed to be most intimate with and closest to. But it really begs the question, as Sister Ruby was saying, that you have to open up and talk to them what the expectations are. I mean, it seems as if a lot of these cases, there isn't that ability to communicate, really ask the question, how are these marriages formed and what are they based on?
That's what I'm trying to understand.
It's not like
what was the dialogue
Do you know
prior?
what it is? Because when you ask a question, you have to be prepared for the answer. And a lot of times we're not prepared. We don't want to know. Inside us we may have an inkling, but really we don't want to hear that you've gained 10 pounds, so I don't think you're very attractive. It's like, well... Or you don't want to hear that, unfortunately, I was expecting X and I got Y. So that's the fear. A lot of people fear the answer and they fear, am I going to be able to take it like they will suddenly drop down dead.
Unless we see this marriage and this relationship between two people as an opportunity for growth and development, whereby I'm looking forward to the other person's critical answer of me, not because...
Exactly.
But because as an opportunity to grow. As we know, the hadith of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, Al-mu'min mir'atul mu'min, that the believer is a mirror for his fellow believer. I mean, how can that narration be taken to a further degree than that of marriage? Which is a school in itself. The person you sleep with, wake up with, eat with, you're the closest to and should be communicating most with, to point out, you know what, I don't think you're doing this quite right. Let's see if we can work through it. But even if it is the fact that he or she either side may have gained more weight, well, that should be expressed. And let's see what I can do about it. Let's see what we can do about it together. I mean, surely that's what marriage is about, right? Instead of we can't communicate, I've had enough of him, and he's...
We only have her side of the story, right? And I'm going to assume everybody's subjective, but
of course
we assume a level of accuracy on her part. Is it possible that a brother is that insensitive and that distant?
Yes, it's very possible. Why would it not be possible?
It's possible.
I mean,
and that's why.
Is it that I'm not saying. I'm asking: would a man in this position? Is it that he's unaware, or is it that he just don't care anymore?
Well, again, depends on what his upbringing has been. What his upbringing has been, how he's been treated. This is an anecdote going back to Ottawa, Canada. I visited that city almost on a yearly basis, going 4, 5, 6 times, and some of the children or youngsters used to come to the Q&A with the Sheikh. So then we were speaking about some of these domestic violence issues, and the young man was there. He can't have been more than 12 years old. After the whole session finished, he came to me. And he said, Sheikh, I've got a question for you. Something about what you said didn't sound right. I said, yeah, go ahead. Said, but if my father doesn't hit and beat my mother, how will she know that he is the man of the house? This 12-year-old young boy in a Western country, they were of Eastern ethnic background, so that immediately says he's in a household where
alarm bell,
he sees this going on. Now, when he gets married in 10 years' time, how do you think he's going to treat his wife? Except the way he's been trained to how a husband should
socialize into that order.
And maybe this.
So it's possible. If you ask, is it possible? Of course, it's possible.
And maybe this man is thinking, to exert his masculinity, he has to, treat people like dirt, basically, and not express himself because he's the imam of the house, so he can do what he likes. And that's not the way. There's no compassion there. There's no... But you know what? We're not taught this. We're really not. I don't think in the communities we have a lot of good examples. And I mean in immediate families. A lot of the times when you get to know people's families, the first thing they'll tell you is my grandparents were unhappy. They were just there because they had to. My mum and dad, they were always shouting at each other. My sister's in a marriage because, it was time for her to get married. She was 21 and
marriage
she was...
of convenience.
So you don't really hear, and you don't really see couples spending time together, enjoying each other's company.
But we
need
this.
To see this.
We need to see this. We need to be told about this. We have this from the prophetic narrations anyway. For example, imagine this narration, how far it is from the kind of marriages that these people are writing in about. that the Prophet says, Inna rajul, indeed the man, la yu'jar, is rewarded for what? لِرَفْعِ اللُّقْمَةِ, to raise the food morsel, إِلَى فِمْرَأَتِهِ, to the mouth of his wife, to feed her with his hand. Imagine what kind of relationship that is between two people. The man is rewarded for behaving this affectionate way to his wife. This is what a marriage is. That's when you work together and build.
But this husband doesn't know about that.
Obviously,
He doesn't know
he
about
hasn't
that.
been trained, or he's been trained, perhaps, growing up in that kind of quote-unquote dysfunctional household where his father, completely contrary to what the Prophet says, and he says about women, he says, "Ma akramahun," that ma akraman nisa, that no one respects and reveres women illa karimun, except the one who himself is magnanimous and very noble. Wa ma ahanahunna, and no one debases them except a wretched person. This is how the Prophet talks about women and, as we said previously, marriage. Why don't we see this in our men? These are not men.
Because we don't see it. It's like being in a lab. You're given a science book and it says put X and Y and it will blah. You have to.
A
the
living
teacher
example.
has to
Sometimes
give you
we
an
might need a living example. Yeah.
Because a lot of the time we hear this, but we think, oh, their stories. Oh, those people were perfect.
So that has to be
but
the
that's
father.
not my
Primarily,
life.
that has to be the father, really, in how he treats his wife, shows her affection in front of the children who are growing up, they becoming married, and then know how to treat a
But
woman.
we need
be a man.
examples like this in the community.
We are missing
so we can
something. I
see.
think we are missing something here. The sister says she fears that he's with somebody else, and I think that's a big part of the breakdown, or a manifestation of the breakdown. So I don't know if it's a case of love doesn't live here anymore, but for him to be treating his wife that way, he's on the phone, phoning, questionable phone numbers,
Yeah.
and she's worried that he may have somebody, but also this fear that if she asks him, she may confront him.
He may say, yes, I
He
do,
may-
actually.
yeah. And if you don't like
And then
it,
what does she do?
exactly.
Well, is that better, or is it living in the dark? Is the ignorance is bliss?
You know what? It's really easy. It's like when, you're going through a rough patch in your marriage and all your friends, most of them, the sisters, are saying, oh, you deserve better than that. You need to go out there. There's plenty more fish in the sea. You need to leave then. And then when you go out there, you're like, oh, hold on a minute. They're still married and their situations were worse than mine. I'm out here. Where are the plenty more fish in the sea? Oh. And that's what she's worried about. She's worried about.
Of course she's worried.
She's worried about stepping out. It's scary to be by
But
yourself.
that's life.
once
But isn't that part of life? One of the big existential fears, at least in existential psychology, the fear of being alone.
That's not what we're taught. When we're, a lot of women, and I'm sure a lot of men too, when they get married, they really think it's for life, and it's scary to think
if the
of
sister,
it.
can she tolerate a life like this? Meaning like a lifetime. It sounds like a young
We're
person.
not recommending it. We're saying start the conversation. It doesn't have to be doom and gloom. You've got nothing to lose. Can it get any worse than it is now? The man's calling whatever lines. Can it get any worse?
Shows emotional detachment between the both of them. He can't talk to her. He'd rather get his emotional
Talk to a stranger or whatever.
satisfaction from a stranger on the other side of the phone. She can't talk to. Complete communication breakdown.
Sheikh, what kind of secrets are husband and wife allowed to keep from each other without it being, I don't know, treacherous or wrong or deceitful, or what type of questions secrets they're allowed to keep?
So first of all, the question was before marriage, can she divulge things about her past, or he about his past? We said from one of our previous times, we had said that the marriage is is essentially, it's not like, is a contract. You can't show someone a Ferrari and then sell them something which is much less than that. Similar to marriage, if something which is going to affect this, if it's something that has no effect on this whatsoever, but if it's a personal sin which is done, that's between that person and God. But if it's something that's going to affect the marital relationship, then that needs to be divulged from the onset. But here,
I'm talking about ongoing secrets.
That's what
the ongoing secrets.
Ongoing secrets. I mean, secrets which I have sinned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Satar al-Uyub, is the coverer of faults. Agreed. But insofar it's not affecting my marital relationship, I done backbiting, God forbid, of someone some way. It doesn't affect my wife or my family. I regret it now. I don't have to go and tell my wife, over here I backbited someone. Over here I did this. Over here I did that. But when it's coming between the two of them, and the secrecy here is a manifestation of the lack of communication between the two of them. That he has to call, or he feels he has to call X, Y, Z numbers. She is in writing to Sophia TV, and they're not communicating between the two of them.
Was she spying on him? Is that spying?
Excuse me, she's got a phone bill. She hasn't a right to look at the phone bill.
And then phone the number?
Yeah, why not?
I'm just asking a question.
Why doesn't he? He's probably calling,
suspicious.
I'm going to say, late at night or early in the morning, because I'm hoping this brother works. I'm really hoping he does. So she's called and she wants, and maybe the numbers have come up and she wants to see who it is.
But then
What's
that should go to the
wrong with
next
that?
level and speak to him, look, sit down, we need to talk. And that's not happening. For whatever reason, she can't talk, she finds it awkward, she's scared. He's not forthcoming, and there's this gulf which is, it's only going to widen. And
she hates being married to him. She says she hates being married to him.
She hates being married to him because of look, a lot of the time when we say we hate something, we may occasionally hate something, but what we're really trying to say is, can you listen to me? I'm struggling with something. But to give it an extra punch, it turns into, I hate being with this person. What she's saying, because after that she said, he's not paying me attention, I'm trying to basically do everything I can, blah, blah. If you hated someone, you would be like, forget this person, I could care less. If he drops dead in front of me, thank God. She's not saying that. She's saying it, I'm trying, maybe it's me, possibly, I've had no thing. That's not hating.
But these are serious, I mean, I don't want to be suspicious myself, but these are serious issues to the point where she said she called one of the numbers in his party line. So who knows what the other expensive numbers are.
Call them all and find out.
Definitely she needs
needs
to
a conversation.
Communication between the two of them.
Definitely. Inshallah.
Just try, you've got nothing else to lose. Just a conversation.
Okay. Let's jump onto our next question, if I may. It reads, Dear ItTakes2, I recently found out that my brother-in-law, who is married with 5 children, is gay. My husband revealed this information to me with evidence. I really care about my brother-in-law and his family, but I'm worried that he's constantly under pressure to pretend that he isn't gay. I'm also aware of his close friendship with another Muslim guy, and I can't help but think they are in a relationship. Is it my place to say or do anything about this? And this anonymous individual from London. Tricky.
Oh, I don't know what it means or what she means by he is gay. What does that mean exactly anyway? To have, like, he's already got 5 kids, so he can't just be inclined to the same gender. But to have homosexual tendencies, as in to be sexually inclined or attracted towards the same gender, in itself is not a sin. But it can't be a sin because it could be involuntary. The person not wanting to be, but that's the way they feel they are. So to have that tendency or that inclination is in itself not a sin. To act upon that sexually, that's where the sin comes in. So I'm not sure what she means really by he's homosexual. The latter part of it goes on to say, the letter says that he has a Muslim friend also.
Another guy who basically he or she is suspicious they may be together. This is imagination.
Well, this is a bit dangerous, and quite dangerous actually, because she has suspicion. And as the Quran tells us, don't have much suspicion. If you have suspicion that doesn't, for example, the first in the Surah Yunus, Allah says, "Inna dhanna la yughni min al-haqqi shay'a." Suspicion doesn't give you anything from truth necessarily. Secondly, Allah says in Surah Hujurat, for example, in the chapter of the Hujurat, He says, "Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ijtanibu kathiran min al-dhann." O you who believe, keep away from much of suspicion. Why? Because inna ba'da dhanni ithmun. Indeed, some of it is sinful. Because you can just imagine if this was to come out, if her suspicions were to be voiced. And that poor guy is completely innocent, the other Muslim friend, who may be married to someone else, and his suspicions come out, it could be disastrous, the consequences for his family. And so these are suspicions. I don't know what evidence she has seen from her husband. I don't want to even speculate on that. But as far as her suspicions go, it's dangerous to voice them without really any knowing much about the situation.
It's a bit bizarre as to why her husband felt the necessary need to provide her with that information.
Well, no, you know, they've probably been married and it's his best friend, and you share, I mean, it's natural to share things about family members
Sometimes
and whatever
we just don't need to
in
do
confidence.
that, though. It's not,
well,
it's
you
not.
don't know. He probably thinks, you know, that's his confidant. It's, you know, something he wanted to get off his chest. Maybe he felt uncomfortable with that, and or you know, what just wanted to share with her. That's not the problem. But my issue
is it?
Why? Why should you not share with your
because look what it's caused.
Well, there's other people.
And you can't unknow stuff.
But that's her. That's her. My thing is, it's none of her business. This is an adult who is married with children. What does she expect to? What is she going to get from this? Hello, let's have a chat. Oh, are you gay? And what if he says yes? What are you going to do with that information?
It's her brother-in-law, and her husband approached her with some information.
Yeah,
exactly.
Perhaps she can tell her husband to if he wants to talk to him and resolve a few issues. That might be her husband's prerogative. Don't think she should take much action, especially not being privy to much of what's going on.
I think it's the brother-in-law's right to have a life and privacy into his life without speculation as to whose friend. Her imagination could be going all over the show. And it's for him to decipher how he wants to live his life. I just don't. So she has that information. What does she plan to do with it? Go and tell the wife? The wife may not have what she sees and thinks is gay. The wife may not even see those traits or whatever they are, or the evidence is. Maybe he's already, you know, said to his wife, I may have these inclinations. We don't know. It's none of her business, is my opinion. He is married with children. He's an adult. It's none of his business. You know, the husband shared something, I think, in confidence. It may be just a suspicion. His evidence might be, I don't know, or because he doesn't like sports, he might be gay, or, you know, he tends to really like, I don't know, cologne or, you know, oud or whatever. I think you don't know.
But I do agree with Brother Bilal to an extent. In that case, was it necessary, even keeping in mind what it's caused in the worry in her and her wanting, perhaps considering taking some steps, was it necessary really for him to divulge that information?
But sometimes we say things and it comes out our mouth and then we think, oh, I shouldn't have said that one. Never mind, forget it, forget it. And
it's his brother, and he may not have intended to be backbiting, but it sounds like he's bringing bad information about somebody else to a third party.
Unless he wants her counsel and how to resolve and how to help them, that's something different.
Yeah.
But the way she's reacting in a very worried fashion and then going on to further speculation about his friend, and that's quite dangerous, especially if that gets out and is voiced. It can have repercussions on that other person's,
and the wife and the children
and the brother who may not be gay.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think she should just.
He sired 5 children after all.
Exactly. Let's just let him live his life. Let her live her life, and just keep well out of it.
If it's going to cause a problem and that marriage is going to be destroyed, or then maybe she can sit with her own husband, and if he wants to take action in trying resolving the situation on a much lower tone rather than
or speak to his brother if are you or are you not. But is it even his brother's business what his brother's doing? It's a tricky one. I would stay out of it.
Sexuality, isn't it a private affair?
When it has social ramifications, it becomes a social affair.
So let me qualify that then, because there's some people, whether they are Muslim, Hindu, Jew, no religion, whatever, they insist on telling other people what their proclivity is about their preferences and intimacy, and they leave their scent in the public domain. That becomes a political issue.
Sure.
But just somebody's preference, I mean, between them and Allah, isn't it? It's just
like the preference itself, as I said, is not a sin. If a person can't help, perhaps, what they like or what they're inclined to, it's when they actualize that into a physical act is when it becomes problematic.
But even if problematic for them, if they keep that private, isn't that just between them and Allah? And it's something that they must make tawbah. If they feel, I need to make tawbah about this, then they make tawbah about it. There doesn't need to be anybody. Absolutely. I'm just thinking because I'm thinking of just even something different, like somebody as a Muslim. this brother has an addiction. He can't help himself, but he started to drink wine and got into drinking tenants or whatever drinks, and then like, all right, he brews a little bit of drink and he makes it stuff a lot. But should anybody be sort of like looking over the fence or I smell alcohol? I swear I would, and right. Fishing to try and find and catch him in the act.
Absolutely not. And we have again many narrations against that kind of behavior. But if it is a sin, and if it's happened in private, it's between that person and Allah for sure. But if a third party finds out about it and wishes to help this brother or sister in their tawbah, assistance,
okay.
But I mean, this kind of thing, that it could be him, he could be doing this, and he could have that friend who he could. Oh, this is a bit dangerous then, and this is absolutely abominable and shunned in the narration. This kind of behavior to try and pursue someone, they're wickedly going, are they doing this? That kind of thing is not recommended at all.
Is there a gender issue at play, Ruby? Like, you know, sometimes sisters mean well, but oftentimes sisters can be a little bit busy in their activity. I don't know. I don't know. I always ask you. I don't know.
To clarify?
I don't know what goes on behind the iron veil. I don't know what goes on the other side of the mosque at times. And I get questions from the brothers and, you know, to do with this type of dynamic. They always want a qualification and clarification. I can give them mine, but I mean, I'm a man, so.
Sisters are very intelligent, God-fearing, controlled, measured, wonderful, know when to say something, know when to stop. I think there's your answer. I think there's your answer.
Okay.
No, we're not sitting there like stereotypes, clocking like chickens. And
it's quite noisy back there
exactly.
Sometimes.
No, that's just the children playing. But we don't sit there and, you know, spot the person coming in and give you a narration of what they're doing and what they ate. Like, no, I'm sorry to disappoint. We're, inshallah, trying to strive and be.
And what we said earlier was with reference to the man in the situation, the husband who let out to his wife, and we said once you say certain words, then you can't take them back. As we had the analogy of it being like an archer with a bow and arrow, and once he's fired the arrow's going to go and whatever, and he wants to take the arrow back now. It's already in the air.
It's going to hit
now
something.
Whatever damage it causes, it causes. There's nothing he can do to take it back. So whenever we see these things and we have these suspicions, it's best to perhaps bury them within ourselves instead of, you know, leading to further damage. We don't know what our words can get us, and what we're not even sure about what we saw or what we think we know, and the ramifications of that could be disastrous.
Okay. And we are living in the UK, so there are some things that are haram, but at the same time within UK law they're also legal as well. I just thought I just mentioned that. But I thank you, Sheikh, for your comments and your insights. It's been riveting today.
It really has.
And also thank you, Ruby, and thank you all for staying with us for the duration of It Takes Two. We hope to see you next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.